Guys, it's time to change up the power in the Ryft. You knew it was going to happen, right? Most all of us are going to do this. Stock system is actually really adequate and fun for playing on hills, but I really want to have some smoothness. And rather than going with the normal castle system, like what most people are going to use, maybe the XR8 by Hobbywing, I'm using the Axe 3300 kV R2. The reason is, not only is it smooth, 3300 kV, a lot faster than the 22, so this thing should move out pretty darn quick on 3S. And to me, I like my trucks on 3S more so than 4S. If I was building this as a 4S truck, it would have a castle with possibly an 18 or 1900 kV motor in it. But 3300 kV on 3S in the Ryft, let's get this going. So here we are, guys. One thing's for sure. If I've never really put the test down on this 3300 kV axe, it's going to get the test now. Let's go ahead and get this thing tore apart. Now, to get to the transmission and all that, you got to take the shocks loose either at the top or at the axles. Tires, wheels got to come off. Then you take these 4 bolts right here and the whole belly just drops right out. Actually a really simple design, very similar to the Wraith or the Bomber. Taking all that loose is really simple. I've only done it now about half a dozen times. All right, so got the lid off of the receiver. Got to pull the ESC wire out right there. So we get those out. To change the motor, you can do it by taking the cover off and putting it in right here in the chassis. I'm just simply going to pull the whole transmission unit assembly out and put the new one in, just because it'll be easier for camera work, and it'll be easier to have the whole transmission right in my dirty hand. Ha ha ha. And here it is outside the vehicle. Should be pretty simple. I'll have more room to work and try to get the wires somewhat looking good, which may be a bit of a challenge. Anyway, time to continue taking stuff off, like the switch, the cover. Got to take the ESC loose, and obviously the motor's got to come out. Let's look at these motors for a second. So let's just say this gets a 2200 kV. This gets 3300 kV, as in they really get all of the kVs. So, and by voltages, I'm just saying 12 volts for 3S and 16 for 4S, just, rounded numbers out. 2200 kV, 26,000 RPM, 26,400 RPMs. 16 volts or 4S, 35,000. The 3300 on 12 volts, 39,600 RPM. So technically speaking, this will be faster than the 4S with the stock motor. I don't need 42 miles per hour. I just don't. So I'm going to try to pinion this thing down. I'm going to dig through my gears and see what I can come up with to drop the gearing down for this one. I checked the book, did not see a gearing range in there. Maybe I overlooked it. It appears 13 tooth is as small as you can go. I had an 11, a 12, and a 14, but no 13 anywhere. So got to get one of those ordered. So I've got a 14 tooth on it. It seems to fit perfectly. I'm not even sure if this is a hardened pinion gear for a steel spur, but we're going to find out. So I'll get that 13 tooth ordered and gear this thing way on down. Stock was a 17 tooth, so hopefully this will make this motor give me the speeds I want, because really 42 miles per hour, that's a ton. I figure maybe 25 miles per hour wheel speed is all I need for the things I'm going to do with this vehicle. I gotta say, it looks really good in there. Now this is the R2, so it has the smaller piece. Now the R2 actually has a setting that you can link to and actually change it where you have a forward, brake, and reverse. So that's kind of why I put that in here. Kind of like the Castle Mamba X. You can change that for crawl mode or race mode, and you can do that one with just the auxiliary wire on your radio. This one you have to Bluetooth to it, so a little bit more time consuming to switch back and forth, but you know what? I think this is going to be perfect. Okay, let's link up to this ESC here. 88888. Let's see what we got. Parameters. I'm going to have to reverse the rotation of the motor. Let's Let's see, max forward, max reverse, turbo timing, don't need any of that. Sometimes that timing can just add a lot of heat to it. Let me throttle rate increase, BEC voltage. I'm going to go ahead and make that 6 volts. I'm not exactly sure what the servo can do because I haven't looked up the specs. Reverse the motor rotation. Then we're going to save that. While we're here, I also want to check the firmware. See if there's a firmware update. Ah, there is. Let's go ahead and get that update going here. All right, now let's go ahead and, got to reconnect. 88888. Lock that in there so I don't have to redo that. Okay, now we're going to check the parameters again just to make sure everything stayed. Looks good, looks good, looks good. Yep, looks like everything stayed. So, all right, we're going to log out of this. And there we go. So now time to finish putting everything back together, and we're going to get some tires on it and get this thing outside. So there it is, back together once again. I also turned the shock collars up to kind of drop it just a little bit. Definitely got some ideas to get that front end down there, so that's going to happen a little later. But for now, time to get this thing powered up. And considering the KV of the motor and all that, I'm going to give it a shot on 2S as well as the 3S. Okay, let's give this thing a punch on 2S. Now it is set for, like, you know, race mode. So you have a forward, you have a brake, and then you have a reverse, like a double pump on the reverse. Sounds a little rough. That pinion gear does not seem to be as happy as I'd hoped. I'll get a new one ordered. Should quiet that down a little bit. Well, let's try some crawling here. I did have to change the crawl settings on this quite a bit because I didn't want to hold. Let's see. A lot better. Yeah, I've got the crawl like 200% or something like that. You can actually see with the ratios not being very crawler friendly that it's actually rocking the vehicle because it's giving reverse to the rotor and actually, you know, trying to make the thing hold. And gearing is not all that good for the crawling, even with the smaller pinion gear. But it this thing is rocking bad. That's the axe doing its job. For crawlers, it would be right on the money. You wouldn't have such a bad ratio for the crawling. But I mean, it does crawl. It just is not its home here in the rocks. Let's go ahead and try the hopper. Yeah, that was a piece of cake for this thing. Now let's try climb time. Wow, the ratios are just so wrong for this system to do what it needs to do. Now keep in mind, I just did all the diffs with the other oils and stuff. Oh boy. Wow. If I can balance this, I'm trying to bump back just a little bit. Yeah, it can absolutely get climb time. which kind of makes me wonder what would happen. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but as much room as what's in this chassis, there's a lot of room to do things like a different transmission. You can get the battery down into the belly because there's so much room to work. You know, I got a feeling we're going to see these things get modified in some crazy, crazy ways. All right. It's, whew. Needs more gear reduction to do this. And the axe is doing good. It's not cogging, but it's also not happy. You know what? I know you guys are going to want to see it. Somebody's already mentioned it being on the nasty, which is right behind here. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. Why not? With the gearing being what it is, I'll be surprised now if it makes this. I know with the other wide axle vehicles, I have to kind of ride the wall there. All right. Yeah, this gearing is just so wrong. It would actually need like a 3 gear or something to even have a chance at being controllable on the rocks. Ugh. Set it back on. Wow, it's just so out of place. So out of place here. You know, guys, not looking so good here. We'll go ahead and try the crack of doom. If it gets the crack of doom, it should make the gap of death pretty easy. If it doesn't get the crack of doom, oh, wow. Yeah, it's just not for the rocks at all. I've taken it out of the rock mode. Still on that 2S, we're about to go to 3S. Yeah, 2S is kind of lame, especially for doing stuff like this. Hey, look, there's a tree. But I do gotta say, it's so much smoother. What am I? Oh, I'm hitting that wall right there. Yeah, I'm used to a little more punch from the stock system. There we go. Okay, you guys wanted it, now it's time. 3S, haha. And it's 3S time. Let's see what we got for punch. Very mild. Not too mild though, huh? So let's try a little bit of grass running. You can definitely tell with the gearing. Saw it in the 2S. I thought maybe it was a 2S thing, but you can definitely tell it. It takes the axe a little bit of time to speed up. When it does, it moves pretty good, but the gearing and all that is just not working so well with this motor. And it pulls up, it takes off, and it's functional. I don't quite feel it's the proper setup for this vehicle though. Definitely going to have to try another sensored system. And probably going to be a castle. Oh, we'll go ahead and mess around with it a little bit more. Yeah, not quite, just Not really what the doctor ordered, I don't think. I think it's definitely going to be a castle vehicle. But you know what? Somebody had to try the axe, right? As much as I wanted this to be the perfect combination, power, speed, control, and quietness with the motor, it just wasn't. The pinion gear, excessively loud. Like I mentioned at the start, it's not really the best pinion for this in my opinion. Pinion. I do have one ordered. I do want to drop it back down to a 13 tooth. This is 14 tooth. I wanted this to be the perfect setup, but it's just not. The Axe, although the Axe 3300 is phenomenal, I believe it's still held back by the ESC. It doesn't quite get the bump that this type of vehicle needs. The good news is, the way it comes in smooth like that, you have less chance of actually breaking a drive shaft or a ring and pinion. So, you got that going for you. Speed is plenty. 2S, the benefit to 2S is very simple. If you're going on a trail and you have this set up in your vehicle, guess what? You can put like 8,200, 9,000 milliamp 2S and run for the entire weekend probably. I mean, think about it. Massive. 3S, you can argue efficiency of 3S versus 2S. You can argue that back and forth, and both sides have merit on that. But I wanted it to be right. It looks like I'm going to have to go with a castle system. Not really sure what just yet. I know the 2100 kV Holmes motor is a powerhouse. And it's also good to 4S, which the stock motor here, 2200. 4S did 42 miles per hour. I don't need that much, but still, that is an option. And the ESCs I'm looking at are Castle, Mamba X, or the Monster X. Got to look and see what's available on A-Main and all that, because I shop on A-Main a lot. So this will get a new power plant. I hope this will be perfect, but it just didn't. I will tell you one thing about this vehicle that has surprised me, and I really like. I really like these tires. I haven't seen a situation yet where they weren't above and beyond capable. In the rocks, they hooked up great, you know, but in the rocks, I also mentioned in the rocks, the platform here lends itself to a wide variety of things. You can put a 3-gear in it, get some gear ratios down, you know, which I'm not sure what the ratios are in the ring and pinion yet, but you can actually get this thing geared way down with the 3-gear and all that, and actually make this, I believe, into a capable crawler. It's just going to take some work. As far as bouncers go, if you want to do a 3-gear or a different transmission, you can kind of lean that thing over to the side, and I believe you can get the battery in the belly. But there's a ton of room in there if you get rid of the large transmission that's there. Even though the large transmission is phenomenal. And I'm running way on with my thoughts here, just rambling on. So guys, I'll go ahead and finish it off now. You're going to want a different power system, okay? And hey, check that description. Use those links. You know what they are. A-Main, eBay, Amazon, Horizon. Use those links to support the channel. So guys, hopefully you liked the video. And well, if you happen to have one of these sitting around, give it a shot. It may work out for you. Guys, thank you all for watching. Guys, if you like what you see, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell. So, in the description, there's a link to become a channel member. If you want to become a channel member, it's a very simple $2, $5, $10, or if you really got some money, $25 a month. It's a simple way to support the channel. So, get that, and I am doing monthly giveaways for members only, so you might want to consider it. So, guys, use those links. Make sure you're subscribed. Thank you all for watching.